The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Very good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Let's wait for about 2 minutes to start to let everybody join. Good morning, everyone. So we are ready to start. We wish to welcome you all to today's webinar. Hope you will find it beneficial. My name is Veera Redkar, and I'm the Vendor Business Manager for Zebra at ScanSource. We have with us Mark Torger, the Regional Product Manager for Zebra, and Catherine Clayton, the Supplies Product Manager for Zebra, who will be taking us through today about a topic. If you have any questions, please send it over the chat and we will handle them at the end. We will also make the presentation available to everyone after the webinar. Also, watch out for the promotion voucher, which we'll be sending out to the attendees during the webinar. And now let's hand it over to Mark and Catherine. We start with Catherine first.
You can hear me okay? Good morning. This is Catherine, one of the product managers from the supplies team based in the Preston office in the UK. I'm responsible for the lovely supplies or consumables products that you can see on this photo here, such as ribbons, receipts, labels, wristbands, tags, tickets, all of that kind of good stuff. And what we're going to go through today is a bit of an introduction to thermal printing and how it works, and then follow that on with a bit about who we are, what we do, and the resources and support and sales tools available to you to enable you to sell supplies products alongside Zebra printers. So first of all, and for some people maybe new to the technology altogether, I'd like to talk about thermal printing and how it actually works. And then I'll tell you about why Zebra's supplies or consumables are the best to use in our printers. Thermal printing is so called because it uses heat, hence the word thermal. So in a Zebra printer, there is a piece or a component called the print head, which is made up of elements which heat up when an image such as a barcode or text is sent to it via software. The way I think about a print head is a little bit like thinking about a camera. So whereas a camera, or now all the cameras on the iPhones that we all seem to use, is made up of megapixels and an image is made of megapixels, an image created via a thermal print head is made up of different elements, and the resolution on there, rather than megapixels, is in dots per inch. So in my simple brain, because I'm not really a technical person, I think of all these little dots side by side and the electrical current going to these dots and heating them up in the pattern of whatever I'm sending to print. So it might be a barcode, it might be text, but whatever I send to the printer, the print head will heat up in that pattern. and it will use heat either to transfer ink from the back of a ribbon onto the label, tag, or whatever we're printing, or it will use the heat to image directly onto a special heat sensitive paper or tag or receipt paper. So I'm going to set the video going now if it works okay, and this will just show you what actually happens. So the red you can see there is the heat coming down. The darker grey you can see is to depict the ribbon. And by ribbon, what we mean is an actual roll of a very thin polyester film, and on the back of it, it's got ink. And literally, the term thermal transfer comes from the fact that the heat is transferring or melting the ink off the back of that ribbon and transferring it onto the substrate underneath. And by substrate, I just mean whatever you're actually printing it onto. So with direct thermal, no ribbon is used, and I'll come back onto thermal transfer in a second. The materials that you can use in a direct thermal printer, they've got a special coating on them that when heat comes into contact with it, it reacts and it turns black, and that print becomes part of the label or the tag. And to use an analogy here, if you think about if you were to put a piece of steak or some vegetables in a griddle pan, and where the griddle pan is hot, you get the dark marks in the piece of meat or in the vegetable. It's a little bit the same when you print onto a direct thermal product. That print becomes part of the label or tag, and that's irreversible. So usually the white surface would then turn black when the print appears on it. You can get coloured direct thermal, but I would say 99.9% of what we do is with a black print. With thermal transfer, as we explained, this is where the ribbon is used, and the ribbon passes between the print head and the media, and the heat causes that ribbon to release its ink and transfer it onto the stock. But why do we have both? What's the difference between the two, and when would you use them? I'm going to start again with direct thermal here. Direct thermal has got lots of advantages because you only have to buy one item. So you buy a roll of direct thermal labels, you put them straight into the printer, and you're printing straight away. You'll get high quality images, it's easy to use, it's quick and simple. So if you think about a nurse or a doctor printing a wristband in a hospital, our wristbands are direct thermal because they've got more to think about than setting up of a printer. They just want to pop that roll or that cartridge into the printer and go. And you do get really good quality images. And direct thermal is fine for lots of applications. If you think about if you order a parcel from Amazon, the label on there will be a direct thermal. And I do check labels that come on my packages. I know that's a little bit sad, but I do get my label and have a look and see what kind of product it is. But an Amazon label, for example, what's the lifespan there? If you have Amazon Prime, that label maybe has to last for, 12, 24 hours maximum. It's absolutely fine, and Amazon are printing hundreds of millions of labels a year, so they want quick and easy, simple operation. The downside to direct thermal is that because it is a heat reactive product, it reacts to other heat sources, so not just the heat from the printer. So if you were to put a direct thermal outside in the boiling hot sun in Dubai, or in fact even in this country at the moment because of the heat wave we're experiencing, you will see that it is sensitive to that heat also. So usually direct thermal is for short lifespan, short lifetime labels that don't need to resist a lot of environmental conditions. You've got a limited range of products with direct thermal, but we can cover a lot of applications, and actually our biggest selling label material is our premium direct thermal product. So it is a very popular choice, but tends to be for shorter life and simple labeling applications. Whereas thermal transfer, you have lots more combination options. And when we go into the world of thermal transfer, so this is when you buy a label and a ribbon and you match them together, you can get much, much more durable labels. Again, you can still get paper ones, so companies such as FedEx or UPS who are shipping parcels that maybe are in transit for a week or 2 weeks if they're going really far afield, they need to be a little bit more durable. They'd be better with a ribbon put on them. If you need something at the other end of the scale for automotive, you're going to put a label inside the petrol cap in a car that might get splashed with diesel or with petrol. That needs to be a lot more durable, and you can do this by matching different thermal transfer labels with the correct ribbon. There's a variety of formulations, and we'll talk about some of the products that we've got. You can get really good, fine, small print on these, and the print head will actually last longer also because you have a protection, because the ribbon is between the print head and the paper or whatever you're printing onto. The disadvantage with thermal transfer, if there is one, is that you do have to buy 2 items and you do have to make sure that they match. You can't buy the wrong ribbon with the wrong label, because you put the 2 together and either it won't print or it won't have the durability that you need. And of course, if you're buying 2 things, that costs more than buying 1 item. Just going to have a drink, sorry, I'm talking too fast. In terms of who we are and where we're based, and leading into a bit about our team and Zebra supplies and why ours are the best, I can show you on the map there. We've got 6 manufacturing locations across the world. 2 of those are in Europe and 4 of those are in the States. I'm still holding out for a visit to the California plant in the States, but with the weather at the moment, maybe I don't need to. But in the UK, which is where I'm based, this is our biggest manufacturing facility for Europe. And we also have label manufacturing in Heerenveen in the north of Holland, where we also have our distribution centre. Supplies actually represents a $9 million market. So there is a lot of business out there, both for us and for you. And we offer a variety of products, something in fact for every printer that we actually make. So we have tags, labels, receipts, ribbons and wristbands, and we are in fact the largest thermal converter in the world when you put all those sites together. But why are supplies important? I know we're going to talk about prints in a little while, but let's face it, every printer requirement starts with the need to have a printed output. So you don't buy a printer just to buy the nice box, even though they are fabulous. You buy it because of the printed output coming out of the front of the machine. And actually our research has shown that every year you can spend 3 to 10 times the cost of the printer on the supplies, and the quality of those supplies can directly impact performance. So it can impact how well your printer runs, the amount of uptime you've got and your productivity, and therefore the quality to your end customers at the end of it if you don't have something that is working correctly. So what do our supplies offer over and above other products in the market? Let's have a look at what we do to make our supplies the best. So Zebra supplies, or Zebra supplies, I'm talking to UK audience as well today, are called Zebra certified supplies, and that means simply that they are certified for use in our printer, and they are the only products on the market that are certified for use in the printer. All of our products are designed and tested in Zebra printers, because we are aiming for best-in-class supplies for our products. And what we do is to approve products and test them and get the right things for our printers, we follow this nice infographic that you can now see on screen. So what we do, we realise there's a lot of choice on the market and not all materials are created equal. So something that on paper may have the same specification as another product might perform very differently when you put it into a printer. So our job and what we do for you is to go through the choice of products on the market. We make it our business to know what's available, what the quality of products is, and from those we'll make a selection. It's a little bit like X Factor, you know, we start with lots of products and we filter them down until we have the best ones at the end. And we do a lot of our testing ourselves here in Preston. We have a print room that's got 1 of each of the Zebra printers in it, and we can do a lot of filter testing here. So for example, if it's a paper that we know will be used in a mobile, a desktop and a mid-range printer, we wouldn't just test it in one, we'd test it in all of them at a range of temperatures and a range of speeds to try and simulate as much as possible actual end user use cases and see how they perform. We also test it in manufacturing, because it's no good if we have something that prints like a dream, but our converters down in the factory have problems making. If we think it's a product that you're likely to need ink on in addition to the print through the Zebra printer, so if we're going to sell them maybe in different colours or with logos, we'll also do testing and trials with the print quality. And then when we've whittled it down and filtered it down, maybe to 2 or 3 products, we then send it across to our R&D lab in the US. Over there, we've got 4 people who are dedicated to supplies testing, and they are working out of a purpose-built lab. They've got all sorts of equipment there. They can test many different things, including temperature resistance, both low and high. We've got a furnace over there that we can get up to about 600 degrees Celsius. I was responsible, I'm quite proud to say, for a little fire last year when we were testing some heat reactive or heat resistant tags. So I've gone down in the health and safety meeting minutes about my need for high temperature products there. But we can also test more regular things such as how strong an adhesive is by doing peel adhesion. We can also simulate weather conditions. So we've got a special piece of kit where we can set it to have a certain number of hours of daylight. We can set it to rain in there. We can set humidity conditions, all aimed at finding products that work for our customers in their applications. And then when we've done all this, we put a zebra name on it because we want you to know that it's zebra certified, and we want you to know that it's had the development work on it to give you the security that you need, that it will work in a printer. And once we've done all that, we never substitute raw materials or change them behind the scenes. So you know that you're going to get consistent quality. I say this because we know that it happens. You know, we see customers who've bought non-zebra labels and they will send us labels from 2 batches and they are completely different, but their supplier has told them that they're the same. Once we've done this work, once we've approved a product, we don't change it. So when you buy Z Perform paper today, it will be the same in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year. And if the supplier pulls that product for whatever reason, then we start the whole process again. We discontinue the old and bring out a new one so that you know that what you're getting is going to be consistent. But if you don't use a good product and things go wrong, you know, it's not just an impact on the quality or what a label looks like. Printers, workforces and customers all can be impacted. You know, on a basic level, if you have somebody putting a label roll into a printer and all of a sudden it doesn't work. So they had a label roll yesterday that was fine, they change it and it now doesn't work. You've got people having to make amendments or adjustments, and then you could have a population of printers all with different settings. Worst case, you might have to call IT, and nobody likes calling IT. Well, I don't anyway, because you know the first instruction is to turn it off and turn it on again, and that's not going to work when it's talking about settings in a printer. And all the time, if people are trying to change printers, trying to change settings, they're not working, they're not printing, product is not being labelled, customer service can be eroded, and worst case, you have a batch of product or you have items that have labels on that aren't legible, so they either go missing or they're unidentifiable. So the cost of a poor label can actually be more than just the cost on your purchase order for what you buy. So I'm aware of the time and the fact that I could talk about labels all day, but I promise Vera that I won't, and I will talk a little bit about actual products that we have now and the tools that we have to help you find them. We've got loads of different materials. Hopefully I've hinted at that already. And these pictures just show some of the applications that we provide for. So the one in the top left is the hot metal production for which I submitted the tags for testing in ultra high temperatures. We've got things for pharmacy, transport and logistics, laboratory, automotive, all sorts of things. And the good news is that we have a massive stocked range available to you guys as a starting point. We'd always recommend you go, first of all, to ZipShip. ZipShip is our stocked product range, over 500 different products, all kept in stock. Lots of things in there, from everything you'd expect, like box labels, pallet labels, right through to things that maybe you wouldn't, such as products for electronics components labelling with UL approval, or blood bag labelling products. We've got lots of different things in there, and again we could talk about this all day. And what I should say at this point is that we hold regular training days in the Preston office for anybody who's interested in coming and having a more in-depth look into supplies. I think we may actually be organising a ScanSource specific one coming up. I think we've been talking about that recently. But if anybody's interested in additional training, then you can get in touch with us. We'll provide our contact details after the webinar, and we can put names down for one of our days that we have here. Finding products from the ZipShip range, we'd recommend you use our online tool. And this is the first of the tools that I'll talk about. It's just www.zebrazipship.com, and on there you just select from 4 different options. You can search by printer type, you can search by part number. If you know what size of label you want or the application, what you can find on here is product that's in stock and ready to ship as soon as you place an order. If you don't find what you want on there, if you want something different, if you want something maybe pre-printed or a different shape or a different material, we've got a dedicated internal supplies team to do that. And if you're looking simply for a material to work in an application, the other tool that we've got is our supplies selector tool. So this is supplies.zebra.co.uk. cartridge.com, and on here you can actually search our full range of materials. And this tool, I'll just show you a screenshot here because we haven't got time to demo it, but this tool here is designed to help you find things for your particular application needs. So you can search here by the type of adhesive you need, the type of environment, whether there's any chemical resistance, low temperature, high temperature, and this is really good for finding you an idea of what material might work for you, and from there we can then provide samples and help you in specifying product for the end customer. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Mark now, if I can. I know I've crammed a lot into that short space of time, but like I say, we do additional training sessions here if anybody'd like to come and learn more, or I'm sure we could set up additional webinars if that was of interest. So thanks very much for listening to me, and I'd like to hand over to Mark now, if Vera, you can organise that. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Hopefully you can hear me. This is Mark Tohratog. For those of you that might know me personally, I work within the printer product management team based in Bourne End in the UK. So yeah, we're going to add some content and build some flesh around what Catherine's actually spoke to us about on the supply side. So we're going to start off with print DNA. Hopefully all of you will be aware of our new LinkOS based printers, including ZQ, ZD and ZT models, and their new operating system that support our suite of software features. That means easier integration and management. Now you may ask, why would you talk about software when it's ribbon handling and thermal transfer applications that are a concern of me? Well, our printers provide maximum uptime by allowing you to monitor printer performance, track printer throughput, and also set alerts for specific operations, thermal transfer operations in this respect. So ribbon low or ribbon out conditions, for example. So I'm going to pick on just a couple of the elements from our print DNA library. Now, we have various means by which to manage our LinkOS printers. If you have an existing device management tool, SOTI or AirWatch, then you can utilize the printer's management capabilities. Alternatively, use one of our own, OVS or AVS, or our printer-specific Printer Profile Manager Enterprise. Now, PPME can work with the printer's odometer functionality to accurately record supplies usage. So the preferred configuration of a printer when using a specific combination of media and ribbon can be easily cloned to other groups of printers, so consistent quality and print results are achieved each and every time. Now, your printers in the appropriate settings can be managed locally or remotely, be they on-premise or via the cloud. Now, we also have available different utilities such as our print setup utilities, again available for free download from Zebra's App Gallery or the Google Play Store. And these can be easily used to set up the printer's preferred configuration. Now, another benefit of the printer software suite are our virtual devices, a library of competitive languages that can be easily downloaded and activated to the printer to allow it to be used in a non-Zebra environment. Now, your customer can benefit from the more advanced thermal transfer solutions, both printers and supplies, without needing to change their host system outputs. Our industrial printers offer premium print quality across the widest range of media and ribbon combinations, designed to survive in the harshest industrial environments and perform consistently in a 24/7 mission-critical operation. Now, many thermal transfer applications have operating environments that can be brutal to printers. The design of our ZT series means that number one priority for us is still reliability. And throughout the product, we make design choices that reflect this. Now, the toughest materials in the design, that means the challenge of a long life in tough thermal transfer environments that these printers can encounter. Now, it's not uncommon to see ultra-fine, high-resolution output in a thermal transfer solution, particularly in high-tech manufacturing, electronics, and also the pharma industry. Now, the design of the printer allows for small media performance and associated ribbon handling, printing down to 3mm labels. Now, reliability and features shouldn't come at the cost of complexity, and with the ZT series, we've made many improvements. Now, shown on the ZT600, and perhaps most obvious, is the side-loading media. So no more threading the material from the rear through the printer mechanism. Now, other things are well-guided media and ribbon paths to give visual clues to the operator. And despite all the management applications that we alluded to earlier, we now know that many customers manage their printers directly. So we have a color display that gives you a variety of different signals, amber and red conditions for the printer status, something that can be seen from several meters away. Now, ribbon usage can be more accurately measured and managed via this means as well. So looking at the desktop printers, there is a changing market in this portfolio, better connected, smarter, users and applications requiring more. Easier ways are needed to integrate, use and manage a desktop printer. Now, ease of use is perhaps most evident with the ribbon cartridge in the ZD420C. Now, it should be noted that all the competitive thermal transfer printers are more difficult to load. Secondary spools, cores, mechanisms and levers, which add to the complexity and time associated with ribbon loading techniques. Now, our EMEA market represents 250,000 thermal transfer desktops, some of which are competitive devices, so a LinkOS virtual device is certainly a worthwhile investigation. Now, the markets and applications available to the ZD420C are no different to the other thermal transfer printers. However, there is a need for an easier, error-free solution. Now, what that video didn't show is that Honeywell ribbon having to be loaded onto secondary plastic red cores, yet more time, yet more complexity, yet more delay. Now, these two schools of use for the cartridge-based ZD420, you have those infrequent users and also the prolific ribbon users. So you have a group of people, some seasonal workers, some casual workers don't necessarily understand the product. When it comes to changing the ribbon, it leads to complexity, it leads to errors, it leads to increased downtime. And then you get those prolific ribbon users in those sort of like pharmaceutical, electronics, manufacturing industries. Many of these are sort of like fairly significant installations. They cannot afford any errors. They cannot afford any periods of downtime. So these two groups of people are investing in solutions which completely remove the errors associated with ribbon loading. Now, the cartridges themselves are available in full width, 110mm wide, 74 meters in length, and again, 3 grades, 3 formulas of ribbon, general purpose wax, a combination of wax resin, and then we have the pure resin. Now, the chip-based cartridge means there's cognitive ability between printer and ribbon. We can accurately alert users to any issues, warn them of any impending ribbon change. So a new cartridge can actually be readied in advance. Now, many of the printer's points of use will see mission critical output. So these can be reconciled against the print job and also against the installed ribbon type. So certain alerts can be set around that. Now, the cartridge solution is also cleaner. So applications where dirt or particles are being measured will benefit from this cartridge-based ZD420C. Think about laboratory workers. Now, we need to factor in several elements when we look at the cost of managing a thermal transfer solution. A lot of people do argue that the cartridge-based ZD420 is perhaps more expensive, so hopefully the next couple of slides will start to dispel some of those myths. So the various factors that we need to look at: productivity, support costs, and downtime. Now, an average customer will incur between 20 and 40 hours per year of IT support to assist users with ribbon loading issues. Now, this is based on 100 printer installation. And like I said, many of that 40 hours IT support, it's down to sort of like regular supplies concerns, ribbon loaded incorrectly, lost take-up calls, etc. Now, when a thermal transfer ribbon cannot be installed or is incorrectly loaded, then those associated labels cannot be output. And many of these sort of like business processes where thermal transfer are used are fairly critical. So the solution here allows for those finished goods and that production to keep going, that production line to keep functioning. So again, we've got no loss of productivity, and again, in certain applications, that loss of productivity, can run into the thousands of euros per hour. Now, lost productivity cost of only a few hours per year can exceed the total purchase cost of ribbon supplies. Now, the ZD420C ribbon cartridges do carry a slightly higher list price over traditional ribbon rolls. However, when we consider the labour and productivity savings created by the ZD420Z versus the traditional thermal transfer ribbon, then the total cost of ownership is nearly identical across both platforms. So the cartridge-based solution, it's quicker, it's easier, and over the design life of the printer and the application, no more expensive than these sort of like traditional solutions that we have. So allow us to calculate some of the savings. We have example one, an installation of 500 printers. Now, a very conservative estimate around ribbon usage. We do get some installations that are using 1 or 2 ribbons per day. You get others that are only using half a ribbon roll per week. But we've taken an average of 1 ribbon per printer per week. So very slight, very conservative. And this is based over 50 weeks, so we're allowing a couple of weeks off for holidays. But like I said, it's conservative amounts. So typical ribbon usage to desktop is higher than this. Anyway, those videos earlier, the Honeywell versus the cartridge-based one, will have shown you the time associated with loading a traditional ribbon. So loading a traditional ribbon on these 500 printers, that's 1,200 hours per year. So if you were to do that same technique with a cartridge-based solution, then that drops to 80 hours per year. So that ribbon cartridge saves 1,100 hours per year. So we can start to apply some logic around that, just a labour saving rate, and you can start to see some of the justification for investing in the cartridge-based solution. So in terms of the annuity of revenue available to you from that example, that 500 printer installation, then I've taken some average printer pricing on this one, and again, only 1 ribbon cartridge per week. But on that first year, you have almost 400,000 euros on that printer itself, and then we have 150,000 euros per year on the actual ribbon cartridge. So over the 4 years, then you've got close to €1 million of revenue from that one installation. Now, 500 printers might seem like it's too much, so a lesser number there. So we've got 100 printers, and again, it's not uncommon to find an estate of 100 thermal transfer printers. Many of the healthcare trusts and agencies, the hospitals that are out there, have 100 printers or more. And again, we're using that rationale with regards 1 ribbon per printer per week. So that's 4,900 ribbons across an estate of 100 printers. Traditional ribbon loading, 248 hours per year. If you do it with a cartridge-based solution, then 16 hours. So you're saving 220 hours per year. Now, I know if I was in a hospital and I was talking to a physician, a lead clinician, one of the clinical directors there about how he wanted to spend his nurse's time. And I said, all right, if you want to spend 1 month out of your nurse's annual working time on loading ribbons, would you want that? And he'd say, no, definitely not. We'd want employed doing the job she is intended to do, which is taking care of patients. So there are a group of people, healthcare being one of those, that want easier solutions around this. And again, we can start to dispel some of the myths around the costs, because we're saving a significant amount of time on this one. So we've got some productivity gains there. And again, sticking with the 100 printer estate, the annuity available to you, it's only 100 printers, so obviously a lesser number on the printer hardware, €77,000 for that sale in the first year, but then 30,000 a year thereafter. So over 4 years, we've got close to 200,000 euros on that printer sale. So remember I mentioned about the time taken to support an installation of printers. Well, having an intuitive interface that provides fuller information allows a user to determine the nature of the issue and resolve this easier. So allowing errors to be quickly identified and resolved without the need for a support call. So preserving your time, preserving your margin. Now, the 3-button 5-icon panel on the ZD420 and on the entry-level ZD620 provides a series of icons lit in different colors and combinations to allow your users to easily identify the issue and correct it, or obtain pre-alerts so they can have supplies readied in advance. It's a design that ensures easier ongoing use of the printer and less support. Now, our unique ribbon mechanism design sees dual ribbon handling lengths and longer lengths accommodated when compared to competitors. It's a unique roll-to-roll design. It allows for easy ribbon installation without the complexities associated with many competitor solutions. Now, the roll-to-roll system for ribbon supply and ribbon take-up means that the process for loading is kept to a minimum. It also allows for partially used rolls to be easily removed without breaking them, essentially a drop-in, drop-out method, and the means that the ribbon types of wax resin can be interchanged as appropriate to the media being used. Now, the dual ribbon capability provides 2 ratios of ribbon to media. The 74 meter offers a 1-to-1 ratio, whereas the 300 meter is a 4-to-1 ratio. Therefore, the appropriate meterage can be selected according to the application. Now, a longer ribbon roll means increased uptime, less frequent roll changes, and also a cheaper price per meter. Now, for any of you that sell multiple brands, I would challenge you to load a ribbon in a competitive printer quicker than you can in a Zebra thermal transfer desktop. Now, our design of the new ZD series has seen improvements and enhancements to the media handling on both the ZD420 and ZD620 models. I would not wish to talk at length about all of these except for one feature, the media dancer arm. Now, another step change on our ZD series desktop printers in respect to print quality is our dancer arm feature. It's now available in a compact desktop form factor on the ZD620 model, so it's unique to this class of printer. Now, customers buy a Zebra desktop printer because of the known print quality. The media dancer arm maintains even tension on the media roll and delivers maximum print quality on every label regardless of print speed. Now, competitive printers operating in a thermal transfer mode of operation need to lessen their print speed in order to achieve some level of quality. Now, we can maintain the expected Zebra print quality and run at the highest speeds thanks to this new media dancer arm feature on our ZD620. Now, with the ZD620, you get the same advanced technology as our higher end industrial printers, but in a compact desktop form. Now, hopefully some of you will be familiar with the term Thermalock. Some of you might have been familiar with an older mobile model that we had, the P4T. However, that was removed from sale. However, there's still a need to take thermal transfer in the field or on the go. So Thermalock is our answer to this. Thermalock is a new product. It's exclusive to Zebra. It gives excellent performance and durability, but in a direct thermal solution. So you may ask, how can that be? Well, regular direct thermal works via a chemical reaction between heat and also the dye chemical. Because it changes colour with heat and chemicals, it's also susceptible to other sources of heat. So it fades under sunlight. It can also be affected by chemicals. But Thermalock is different. Its structure is like that of a honeycomb. So it's made of a proper polypropylene film, and the way in which it works, it breaks the skin of the material, if you like, to reveal a black layer. And this black layer is far more robust than traditional thermal transfer solutions. So if there's a need for thermal transfer and true mobility, then Thermalock is certainly a consideration. Now, we have, like I mentioned, we used to have a thermal transfer mobile printer, the P4T, but unfortunately, limited sales saw us remove this from sale. We do, however, or we can, however, still offer some level of robust output on that mobile printer, like I said, by way of the Thermalock. But for a true thermal transfer solution on the go or in the field, then we are developing a transportable solution, and we're launching that later this year. So it will be a field installable option to the ZD410D, any of the ZD420 models or the ZD620 models. And this battery pack offers you the possibility of filling your thermal transfer output at the required point of production or use. We're currently running an evaluation program, which we do prior to any products launch. So if you're interested in that, then please contact Vera or myself, and we can give you further details. Now, Catherine was talking about some of the applications earlier. We could talk about thermal transfer applications all day. However, there's growth there and significant growth. If I looked at our sales number for 2017 versus 2016, then very healthy double-digit growth. We had 15% growth on thermal transfer desktop printers, 13% growth on thermal transfer tabletop printers. And we're seeing real step changes in respect of RFID use. And with regards to our RFID desktop and industrial models, then over 50% growth on the thermal transfer RFID applications there. And again, this growth was seen across all of the regions, central, DAC, east, north, and south. And like I said, very healthy double-digit growth there. Now, our thermal transfer desktop sales for EMEA in this mid and performance tiers account for 40 million annually, and this is the hardware only. It excludes associated supplies and service business that can be quite easily attached to it. But the way we manufacture, the points of use, the methods of shipping, the environment in which the printers are used, or the extremes of where that printed output will exist, demand a more robust output. And this is what is driving that growth in the thermal transfer space. So it's that longevity of the printed output that requires thermal transfer. Take, for example, document tracking or archived files where corresponding identification is required decades later. Now, this durable, eligible labeling need also holds true for applications such as evidence tracking or ports of entry or border control for items such as visas. Now, the need for asset marking in a durable label can be found in many markets, ranging from healthcare equipment in a hospital to perhaps artifacts in a museum. So labelled items might not be in a day-to-day use. The need for a thermal transfer label might come about due to extended periods of storage. Now, the storage or movement of labelled products might see them in harsh environments. There could be the need to protect from extremes of weather or a specific cleaning regime. So take, for example, the wet and dry sterilisation services in a laboratory where desktop printers and their output are used, or perhaps product labels used on finished goods at building merchants, garden centre, or the various agricultural businesses that exist. Now, the use of ribbon also allows for the introduction of colour. We all know the benefits that this can provide. It adds another element to the traditional monochrome label. This might be required as a visual identification, as a warning or alert. This might be a patient identification or pharmaceutical supply chain. Now, the use of colour ribbon also allows for overprinting. A previously finished label with static information can be reprinted with variable data in a particular colour. Thermal transfer printer also means that a range of media can be extended from papers to synthetics and foils. So used in combination with any resin grade, then our thermal transfer printers can provide the required robust, high quality output that any thermal transfer application demands without the complexity that the competitive printers offer. Now, hopefully you would have seen something in our printers, perhaps some of the newer ZD series printers, that you would like to switch from older G series models to ZD printers, but are unfamiliar with the new part numbering, the configuration and various syntax around that. However, we do have a part number converter tool. Hopefully you will have logons for our partner gateway, these various bits of resource available to you. The converter tool is one of those. So you put in the older part number, select the currency, and it will populate all the other fields. So you can see a description of the printer itself. You can see what features come as standard, any considerations with regards to an upgrade kit, and then it will give you the relevant summing up total and information about that. So again, there should not necessarily knowing each and every part number doesn't necessarily need to be a block for moving to the new LinkOS platforms. So that is it for me. At this stage, I am going to hand you back to Vera.
Thank you, Mark and Catherine, for that great session. Now, if anybody has any questions, please send it across the chat, and we will answer them in about 2 to 3 minutes. Before that, I would like to take you, introduce you to our promotions we're running this quarter. Mark, if you can move to the next slide, please. Yes. So from today until 30th September, if you buy at least one thermal technology printer, either from the ZT510, the ZT600, the ZD420, and the ZT620 series, add at least one roll or a box of related Zebra supplies, you can win a £50 or a €50 Amazon voucher. Please take note of the conditions of the promotion. Next slide, Mark. Apart from that, we also have another promotion where you can buy €750 or pounds worth of supplies from a zip ship and easy price range and get £50 off on the purchase of any of the Zebra desktop printers. So the order can be split up into 2 separate orders. Again, the offer stands for all orders bought and shipped until 30th September 2018. Now, at this moment, we would also try to send you a PDF across, which you can share with your ScanSource account manager if you want to avail any of the 2 offers. And then now I will just hand it back to Catherine for her to handle the first question that we have received.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Hopefully you can. I can see I'm unmuted now. So the first question that we had in was regarding a request for labels to identify pallets, ideally forever, which isn't something I think anybody will guarantee, but talking about whether thermal transfer will offer better quality, what kind of product we'd offer to resist different weather conditions and temperature changes, indoor, outdoor, humidity, that kind of thing. So the request is for a label to identify pallets for as long as possible. We've got a variety of products we could offer here. We've got some products that offer up to 3-year outdoor life, made of polyester, or we have actually got a product specifically designed for outdoor use, which lasts up to 7 years in Western European conditions. So depending on where that's going to be used, you could get up to 7-year life for that. I think the best thing to do, and that would be our 8000T 7-year vinyl product. Best thing to do in terms of managing that question and supporting it with samples. When the presentation goes out, it will have my email address on. So if the person asking that question can email me, I'll organise some samples for you to test that. So yes, we can do labels for long-term outdoor use as well. And the second question was regarding pre-printed labels, how to access pre-printed labels and how does this service work. I'm unsure here whether the question is about pre-printed media such as colour preprints. For example, if you wanted, instead of blank labels, you wanted yellow or a customer logo or a particular form printing on the label or that kind of thing. That's not a problem at all. The way we would handle that is as a custom quotation, so that will be submitted into our internal quotation team here in Preston. And again, you can contact me by email after the session with your specific requirements. If you were talking about pre-printed, such as pre-printed with variable information, that isn't a service we offer. We're not offering a bureau print type service, but I think because what I was talking about was preprints with ink and colours and designs, I think that was the question, and that certainly is something that we can offer and support. Is that all the questions that we...
Yes, thanks, Catherine. We have another question to know if this offer is valid on standard prices or price exceptions can be used as well. Well, yes, this offer can be combined with any other price exception, demo discount, or any other offer that's running. So just, as I said, just send this voucher over to your ScanSource account manager, and we'll handle it at our end. And looks like we don't have any more questions. So I'd like to thank Mark and Catherine again for the time that they've spent here. After the session, we will also be sending you the presentation slides, which will include the contact details of Catherine and Mark. So if you guys have any questions, you can always get in touch with them. Apart from that, if you have any questions, just write an email to any of your ScanSource account managers. They will be more than happy to help you out. And that brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great rest of the week. Take care. Bye-bye.